Not long ago, I got my hands on a document that forced me to do a little personal investigation. Unfortunately, I didn't accomplish much, but I did get some things straightened out. I have changed the names appearing in this story, except for the names of the crew of the B-29 Cait Paomat. The official information: on August 20th, 1944, B-29 number 42-93829 Cait Paomat of the 395th Squadron, 40th U.S. Air Force Group, was hit during a raid on steel mills in Yavato. The decision was made by Commander McGlynn to withdraw to Soviet territory. After crossing the Amur River, the order was given to abandon the airplane. All crew members escaped, but the out-of-control airplane crashed into the Khekhtsir hills near Komsomolsk-Na-Amure. The crew was returned home. On August 29, 1944, the city hospital of Komsomolsk-Na-Amure was destroyed as a result of bombing by unknown air forces. Incendiary shells burned the building to the ground. There were no survivors among the staff and patients. Unofficial data, eyewitness testimonies. The document that came into my hands I will cite at the very end. Now I will only say that, in my opinion, it is directly related to the two events mentioned above. Having searched local forums and asked several residents of Komsomolsk-Na-Amure, I found a man who claimed that his mother lived near the destroyed hospital and caught those events. Taking a vacation at work, I went there, and to my luck I was able to interview Maria Petrovna. Interview with Maria Petrovna, born in 1931. Maria Petrovna received me well, and without much persuasion agreed to tell me what had happened. So, Maria Petrovna, on August 29, 1944, your city hospital was destroyed by bombers. As far as I know, the hospital staff and all the patients were killed, right?
Yes, it happened. I was very young then, I didn't understand everything, and now I still think that something was wrong there. I can tell you about it now, but my relatives were very afraid at that time. They were told that if they talk painfully, it won't end well. So that's what I mean. The hospital was closed the day before the bombing. It was nothing to us, but my neighbour Glafira was very worried. Her mother worked there, so they wouldn't let her out. The NKVD cordoned off the whole area and wouldn't let anyone in.
Did they say anything about the reasons for such restrictions?
No one even interfered. They realised that something was obviously wrong. We had never had such a thing before. Everybody was scared. But no, what am I saying? They said one thing already in the evening: nobody to leave the houses and not to burn the lights. I couldn't sleep at night, not out of fear, but when I was such a button, I wanted to stick my nose everywhere. So I looked out the window. There was a hospital in the distance, on a hill, not all of it, but half of it. There was no light in the house itself, but there were lights all around. It looked like the soldiers were looking for something. So I looked, and then I fell asleep. I don't know how long I slept, but I woke up to a strong bang, and the windows flew out. I was frightened at first. I ran to my mother, but she ran out of the bedroom pale, grabbed me, and took me to the cellar. So we sat there till morning. In the morning, when we came out, I saw that the whole hill where the hospital stood was black from burning, and the hospital itself was gone, as if it had never existed, only some heads sticking out of the ground. Well, that's it, I guess.
Did they destroy anything else? And where did the NKVD officers themselves go?
Nowhere. They stayed where they were. They searched for something else for 2 days. They looked. Then they said that everyone who was there had died and left. Glafira's mum died there too. Glafira herself was sent to an orphanage. And nothing else was bombed. Maybe they missed. Or maybe they were only aiming at the hospital.
I'll leave out the rest of the conversation. Maria Petrovna couldn't tell anything else about it. Unofficial information, I cannot vouch for the reliability of the information given here. I managed to find the son of Glafira Olegovna, the one mentioned by the heroine of the previous interview. Unfortunately, Glafira herself died back in 2003, so I repeat, I cannot vouch for the reliability of the information. Her son told me that a few days before the incident, a field doctor of the Guard Division brought to the hospital a soldier in a uniform, unusual for the local area. Obviously not Soviet. He did not speak Russian and was quite violent, so they tied him up and locked him in one of the rooms. The locals thought he had been concussed, but no one could say for sure, because almost no one knew the language, which was identified as English. An NKVD unit arrived 2 days before the hospital was destroyed. The fighter was interrogated, and the hospital was cordoned off a day later. Protocol of Interrogation of Barry J. Tallon. Actually, this is the very document that I managed to get by pure chance. I believe an interpreter and orderlies were present with the interrogator. Extract from the report of the interrogation of Amur, military, Air Force Tallon Barry J., dated August 28, 1944. Question: please state your name, rank, and the unit in which you served.
My name is Barry J. Tallon. I am a sergeant, air gunner, 2nd Group, 58th Bombardment Wing. I was transferred to Cait Paomat on August 19 due to the illness of the crew's regular air gunner.
Question: what was the designated purpose of your combat sortie?
Initially, our target was the Yavato steel mills, but after the transfer, it was announced that the purpose of our flight would be different. The mission was announced personally by the commander of Wolf. The exact target is unknown to me, but we were to go east of Yavato and drop one experimental bomb on some object.
Question: what was the experimental bomb? The yield, the type? What do you know?
Nothing. All this might have been known to the pilots, but they're dead now, as is the rest of the crew. I'm an ordinary gunner. I'm not supposed to know such things.
Question: what happened on board the plane?
We flew normally. We were supposed to go with the main forces of the wing to Yavato, and then go sideways. We flew to Yavato, but there we were hit, it seems, by a ground-based anti-aircraft gun. The airplane began to shake violently, but we were able to get out of the water over the city and start moving towards the target. About 10 minutes after taking damage, the commander ordered the first gunner to check the bomb bay. Smithson went to carry out the command, after which he was out of contact for about 20 minutes. Collins, the second gunner, received a similar order. Only I was surprised that McGlynn, our commander, ordered to bring a gun and be careful. I didn't pay much attention to it at the time. It's not like the Japs could have gotten into our plane on a shell. Collins also didn't make contact. Then I and Durson were ordered to find the first 2 gunners and report on the condition of the bomb bay. To my objections that more than 2 gunners were not authorized to leave their post at one time, McGlynn responded by cursing and saying that if we did not comply with the order, he would throw us out of the airplane himself.
Question: why did you stop?
I'm sorry, it scares me to remember all this. Durson went first. I followed. I still had my gun, unlike Barney. We found no traces of Collins and Smithson in the technical compartment, so we checked everything, including the machine guns. Then Durson opened the hatch to the bomb bay and climbed in. Barney screamed like he was being cut alive. I turned on the lantern and shined the light inside.
Question: please don't stop.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This special bomb split in half, and there were a lot of worms on the floor. Big ones, like leeches, about the length of a finger and 2 fingers thick. I can't describe it any better than that. They were all over Durson and seemed to be eating him alive. A little farther on the pile of worms were 2 mounds. I think they were Collins and Smithson. For about a minute, I looked at the whole thing and couldn't move. Then I saw them crawling up. I panicked and dropped my flashlight down and ran to the control room and reported everything to Glines.
Question: what did your commanding officer say to that?
He cursed and ordered the entrance to the control room to be locked. The radio operator contacted command, and I believe we were told that we would be shot down on our return. Immediately after the communications session, McGlynn said we were going off in the direction of the Union and would try to land there.
Question: why were you the only survivors of the crew?
According to McGlynn, we crossed the Amur and made an attempt to contact local airfields. The attempt failed. Then McGlynn ordered us to leave the airplane immediately. Johnson opened the cabin door, and a whole bunch of these worms fell on him. He screamed and immediately fell silent. Oneer fired at the worms, but it did no good.
Question: what happened next?
We all rushed outside. I think McGlynn was yelling something, but no one was listening. I don't remember, but somehow I managed to run out. I think it was someone's body. I grabbed my parachute, ran to the rear hatch, with the co-pilot and the second radio operator running after me. But Smithson was standing there.
Question. You said that Smithson was eaten, didn't you?
Yes. He was standing there with these things crawling on him. He put his hand out and started talking. He said there was nothing wrong with it, that they were just worms, and he walked slowly towards us. I couldn't stand it, pulled out my Colt and started shooting until the trigger clicked. The radio operator and pilot were firing too, as I recall. The Smithson stopped, but not for long. Eventually I grabbed the key that was on the locker, shoved Smithson off, and ran straight to the hatch. As I was putting on my parachute, I heard the radio operator and pilot screaming. I guess Smithson had gotten them after all. I jumped out.
Question. Did anyone else jump after you?
No. I opened the canopy almost immediately, and I saw the airplane go sideways. Nobody ever jumped out until just before the impact. Then, after I landed, I ran into some of your soldiers, and they brought me here.
Question. Is that all?
Yes. Now will you help me?
Question. Wait. We will verify the information you have given us, and if it checks out, we will send you home.
I told you. One of them got inside me after all. I can feel it. It's gnawing at me. I don't want to end up like Smithson.
Question. Don't worry. We'll take care of you. You just wait.
Don't you understand? I don't have time. Take it out, for God's sake.
Question. Take the patient to the ward. End of discharge. My version of the results of the investigation. Unfortunately, I don't know exactly what happened there. I can't find out now, for obvious reasons. I personally believe that this Barry repeated the fate of his co-worker Smithson, and the hospital was destroyed intentionally. The remains of this very B-29 were found by some hunter and scrapped, and now there is a ski run there. Hopefully all those worms died before people went back there,